Not gonna lie, I'm pretty excited and I'm getting quite a big head, but I just need to keep a lid on it just for now. Howdy everyone, it's Sam. I hope you're all doing really well. If you're new around here, I hope I can get you to consider liking the content and subscribing to the channel. And if you are a regular around these here parts, thank you very much for the continuous support. Last week on this show, I got 8 from 8. It's not as if I forgot to put in my Souths and Raiders tip last week and I actually tipped Raiders, but it came up as Souths. No. I got 8 from 8 last week, for sure. Let's get stuck into this weekend's tips. Round 12 in 2022 is Indigenous round, one of the best rounds on the NRL calendar, and it starts on Thursday night from Amy Park down in Melbourne. It's the Melbourne Storm hosting the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles. Manly Warringah Sea Eagles, unfortunately, they miss Tom Trbojevic for maybe the rest of the season. They're missing Tom Turbo this weekend. They're coming into the game at $5, which it can be all right, but I've got to have a look at the Melbourne Storm team list news now. So let's get stuck into them, who they themselves are $1.18. So Jerome Hughes has been named in at jersey number 7. I reckon there's still going to be a bit of a cloud around his fitness. So watch this space on Jerome Hughes. For the Manly Sea Eagles now, you've got Ruben Garrick, who's going to be filling in Tom Turbo's position. George Tafua is back. Finally, I'm so excited to see that dude rock and roll once more. And Kieran Foran plays game number 250 this Thursday night down in Melbourne. And the forward pack is Josh Aloiai and Tofafo Sipley starting in the forward pack. And then Ola Kawatu has been named. I thought he was going to be suspended for a couple of weeks. Maybe they get to fight it at the judiciary. But yeah, I thought he was going to be suspended for 2 weeks for a crusher tackle. But in any event, Ola Kawatu has been named in jersey number 11, Davey in at 12, and Jake Trbojevic in at jersey 13. Manly Sea Eagles, they've been whipped by the Melbourne Storm for a couple of times now in a row. But I love Storm versus Sea Eagles contests. Yeah, I think they're a rivalry, especially ever since 2007, where things really kicked off. I really enjoy Storm Sea Eagles clashes, but with the inclusion of Jerome Hughes, I am definitely more inclined to tip Melbourne Storm, but only 1 to 12. I think Manly Sea Eagles, they usually get up for games, especially down there in Melbourne against the Storm, and I think Manly will make them fight for it, that's for sure. But I think, especially if Jerome Hughes is in, I think he'll lead the Melbourne Storm to a 1 to 12 victory down there at Amy Park on Thursday night. The second game on Friday night footy is from Suncorp Stadium, and it's one of the Queensland derbies. It's Brisbane Broncos hosting the Gold Coast Titans. The Brisbane Broncos are $1.37 to the Gold Coast Titans $3.10, and I reckon that's being just a touch generous as well, considering the Gold Coast form. So let's go into the team list news now, starting with the Brisbane Broncos, and they look like they are unchanged. Adam Reynolds is still struggling with a groin issue. And that's pretty much it for the Brisbane Broncos. They're unchanged. And for the Gold Coast Titans, Brian Kelly comes back in to replace Philip Sami, who picked up a knee injury. And Jamin Jolliffe comes onto the bench for Herman Essa. And David Fafita is in jersey number 23, so he could be a sneaky chance to come back into the Gold Coast Titans starting pack. It's going to be really interesting because the Gold Coast Titans over the past few years seem like they tend to ambush Brisbane in Brisbane, and it looked like it was going to be the case last year, where they scored 24 points in the first 20 minutes or 15 minutes thereabouts. And then just the damn wall just burst open on the Gold Coast Titans. Brisbane Broncos roared back into contention and ended up winning one of the games of the year last year, an ultra high scoring contest. I think there'll be a lot of points in this game, but I think it's all going to be one-way traffic. I reckon Brisbane Broncos, I think they can win this one 13 plus, not extravagantly, something like a 16 points, a 16-point victory to the Brisbane Broncos on Friday Night Footy. For Saturday, there is a trilogy of contests, and game number 1 is from Moreton Daily Stadium out there at Redcliffe. It's the New Zealand Warriors hosting the Newcastle Knights. Gee whiz, talk about a game of two desperate sides coming up head to head. This is a little bit must win for both sides to really keep their top 8 aspirations alive. The Warriors are going into the game as $1.65 favourites to the Newcastle Knights $2.25. That's pretty nice value on the Newcastle Knights, if I may say so myself. But Newcastle Knights, I know they got the win at Magic Round a couple of weeks ago up there at Suncorp, but their Queensland form, I spoke about it ad nauseum last year, but their Queensland track record is not good. They don't travel well up there in Queensland. But let's get into the team list news now, starting with the home side. It looks like the Chanel Harris-Tavita will take his place in jersey number 6, and that bugger said that he's going to be taking a break from rugby league at the end of this year. So I imagine he's just going to go all out himself for the rest of 2022. And he's a terrific player. I really hope he comes back to the NRL once next year is all said and done. And then you look to the forward pack. Ben Murdoch-Masila, Freddie Lussick and Jazz Tavanga. They are the starting front row. Matt Lodge said, see you later. Aiden Fanua-Blake, his season, I think, is done. There's a chance he could return with a couple of weeks remaining. But yeah, Matt Lodge and Aiden Fanua-Blake, man, they were the reason why they have been in games for a lot of 2022. And those two pillars of strength are now gone. That's an almighty blow for the New Zealand Warriors. Then the back row reads Uwan Aitken, Tohu Harris and Jack Murchie. And then the interchange bench reads Taniela Otakolo. Thank goodness for that. And then Aaron Penne, Bunty Afoa and Alicia Katoa is the interchange. I like the look of the interchange bench. Jazz Tavanga as number 10. Now shifting sides to the Newcastle Knights. Team list news now. Dane Gagai keeps his spot in jersey number 3. Dominic Young is thereabouts. Anthony Milford and Jake Clifford are the halves pairing. So Adam Clune is out of the side completely. I'll have to do more looking up why Clune is not there. But it's Anthony Milford and Jake Clifford as the halves pairing. I thought Newcastle Knights, they were improved last week against the Brisbane Broncos. They copped some really ordinary calls, in my opinion, and it broke the spirit when the Brisbane Broncos scored that non-obstruction ruled try to Selwyn Cobbo. I thought that was an obstruction to Adam Clune every single day of the week. I think that because the New Zealand Warriors, they make the least amount of meters than any other club in the NRL. They lose Matt Lodge and Aiden Fanua-Blake now. They're not going to make nearly as many meters. And Sean Johnson, it's weird, man. He was responsible for a couple of good try assists, but his general kicking and some of his passing scenarios, and he's not in the best of form, Mr. Sean Johnson, and he really needs to have a bang up because Chanel Harris-Tavita can't do it all on his own. I'm going to tip the Newcastle Knights. I'm going to stick my neck out a little bit. I think the value of $2.25 is great for Newcastle. I know that Newcastle's Queensland record is not good. It is not good. But I think that the Newcastle Knights, this is more of a must-win for them than what it is for the New Zealand Warriors. And If Knights lose, if they go down to the Warriors this weekend, Newcastle and Adam O'Brien, massive questions will have to be asked and answered over the next couple of weeks. But I'm going to go the Newcastle Knights to win this one 1-12. Game number 2 on Super Saturday is from Sydney Olympic Park, Accor Stadium. It's the South Sydney Rabbitohs hosting the West Tigers. The South Sydney Rabbitohs are $1.37 to the West Tigers $3.10. These two sides only met each other last month, and the West Tigers, although they only won by 1 point, they actually made South Sydney look a bit ordinary through patches of that contest. $3.10 about a side that beat the opposition only 4 weeks ago. That's pretty nice value, but I want to get into the team list news now. So starting with the home side, it looks like the back line is unchanged. The forward pack is unchanged. Mark Nichols returns on the interchange bench in jersey number 15, and Cody Nikorima is in jersey number 17 as well. And then for the West Tigers, Dane Laurie. That's a massive return for the Tigers. He's back in at the fullback position. Therefore, the rest of the back line reads Kapoa and Toa. Stafford Toa is going to be one centre wing combination. And then on the other side is Brett Naden and Ken Mamalo. That's a pretty cool centre wing combination if that turns out to be the case. Jackson Hastings has been named to play. He did pick up a bit of an injury in that victory over the Bulldogs last Friday night, but he has been named to play. And Luke Brooks is also returning in jersey number 6 as well. The forward pack reads James Tarmo, Zane Musgrove and Jake Simpkin in at hooker. And then the back line reads Garner, Leilua and Offahan Gowie. That's an underrated back row, might I add. And the interchange bench reads Kelmatu Alangi, Alex Tuol, Fireman Brown retains his position. That was so cool, man. I'm so happy for that dude. And Stefano Otokamanu, he's in a jersey number 17 as well. This is a massive game for South Sydney. I just spoke about Warriors and Knights, about how desperate those two clubs are for a win. South Sydney, man, they are not playing good football almost in any way, bro. They look like they don't have a leader. They don't have any leadership, and Cameron Murray, he obviously hasn't been named to return. I do think Damien Cook has been decent for the club, but every part of me wants to tip South Sydney Rabbitohs, and I don't want to be lured into one of the hardest teams to try and get a hold of, you know, getting up to get that win in South Sydney. They've been fair dinkum one of the two bogey sides for me over the past couple of years. But you know what, man? At $3.10, I say back the West Tigers, especially that Luke Brooks is back. Dane Laurie is back in. They've got a couple of nice ins. Brent Naden is a new face, a bigger body, a great centre in his own right when the day is right for him too. I'm going to tip the West Tigers to win this one 1-12. They only beat South Sydney a month ago. They'll know how to crack them again, and they're down a couple of more troops, South Sydney, compared to what was a few weeks ago against the Tigers out there at CommBank. I'm going to tip the West Tigers to win 1-12. And the main event on Super Saturday is from PointsBet Stadium, where we see Cronulla Sutherland Sharks host the Sydney Roosters from PointsBet Stadium. The Cronulla Sutherland Sharks are actually coming into the game $1.77 favourites to the Sydney Roosters $2.05. That's kind of rare that Sydney Roosters haven't been preferred to the opposition this week anyway. For the team list news now, William Kennedy is a huge in back at fullback. Connor Tracy retains his position at centre. Talakai and Mulatalo. Backline's pretty much unchanged. For the Sydney Roosters, backline is unchanged. The forward pack, Angus Crichton is in there at jersey number 11. Takeaho starts at lock. And then the interchange bench reads Connor Watson, Fletcher Baker, Tupanua and Terrell May. Doesn't he look like a friggin' beast of a young man too, just quietly? Yeah, it's a hard one, but I'm going to tip the Cronulla Sutherland Sharks. And the big overarching storyline in this one is that Craig Fitzgibbon is coaching up against his mentor, Trent Robertson, for the first time. So, You know the Sydney media is going to just be salivating over that storyline. And it's a big storyline, admittedly, though. But yeah, it's a pretty large game. And I'm going to back the Cronulla Sharks to win this one in an absolute thriller this Saturday night. There are 2 games on Sunday, and game number 1 is from Belmore Oval for the one and only time in 2022. The Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs host the St. George Illawarra Dragons. The Dragons coming into the game $1.55 favourites to the Bulldogs $2.45. Get this for some stadium history. The Dragons have not played at Belmore since 1992. They have not won at Belmore since 1990. My word, there's a bit of stadium history going around over the past couple of weeks. Now for the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs, Josh Addo-Carr comes back in after he copped the flu last week. He's back in and he'll partner Jake Averillo, I believe, and Aaron Schupp, and young Karaz keeps his spot as well. Karaz, he really does look like he's got a lot of promise and potential, doesn't he? For the St. George Illawarra Dragons, Cody Ramsey surprising a lot of the rugby league experts, a lot of the rugby league universe by putting in a huge shift in at fullback. He was great last week, Mr. Ramsey. And speaking of great Fengai, Matthew Fengai, holy crap, man, doesn't he also have a lot of potential too? And then Andrew McCulloch returns at jersey 14 with Aaron Woods, Michael Molo, and Tyrell Fuimaono. That rounds up the interchange bench. The Belmore Oval curse is kind of real for the Bulldogs. It's something like they've only won 2 of 7 matches since they returned to Belmore. It hasn't been happy for the Bulldogs since they've started taking a game back to Belmore. I think it was maybe 2012 when they started doing that again, but it's not happy reading. I think the Dragons are in better form, but maybe the occasion could get to them. None of these players on the Dragons lineup have ever played at Belmore Oval before, really, or at least in first grade anyway, so it'll be different. I think the Dogs, I mean, they surely must be up for it, especially, you know, at their heritage ground as well. But I think it'd be a bit foolish to tip the Bulldogs, really, considering Dragons. They've played some pretty good footy at stages throughout this year. They were weird last week against the Warriors, but I think defensively, I think they'll have enough to keep the Bulldogs out, who are kind of listless in attack as well, even if you have Josh Addo-Carr back in the winger position. So I'm going to choose the Dragons to win this one 1-12. And by the way, it's Matt Duffy up against his old side as well, so he might be in for a bit of a barrier of a day too, if Ben Hunt has anything to say about it. Final game to round out Indigenous round for 2022 is from Canberra at GIO Stadium. It is the Canberra Raiders versus the Parramatta Eels. The Parramatta Eels are $1.50 favourites to the Canberra Raiders $2.60. And literally about 2 weeks ago, I looked at this game thinking, easy Parramatta win. Now, it's one of the games of the round, my word. And look at the team list. Listen to this, right? So Xavier Savage is in for Chance Nickel-Kluckstub because he did his hammy last week. So Savage is in at fullback. And Jared Croker comes into the centre position. Matt Timiku keeps his centre position as well. And Jordan Rapinoe is in there at jersey number 5. Jack Whiten obviously is back at jersey 6 after last week. But it's Jamal Fogarty. Fogarty finally, he's going to be playing at halfback with jersey number 7 on his back. Zach Wolford keeps his hooking position, jersey number 9. And that's pretty much the starting back row forward pack is pretty much the same to last week. In the interchange bench, it's Starling. Ryan Sutton comes in. Sebastian Chris keeps his position in jersey 16. And Corey Horsburgh, jersey 17, with Brad Schneider in at 18. Brad Schneider, man, young player. He's actually starting to come into his own, especially over the past fortnight. I think he's actually been really decent for them. So keep your head up, young man, for sure. And then for the Parramatta Eels, Wanga Blake is back in at jersey number 2. And let's see, so Mike Acevo is a chance of playing in this game. He's been named on the reserves in jersey 24, but they do get Wanga Blake in, who was in pretty nice touch before he unfortunately got injured about 6 or so weeks ago. And some backline profiles are back in for the Eels, and some even more coming around the corner over the next couple of weeks, which is what they've desperately needed. And then for the rest of the back line, Penasini, Opacek, Simonson playing up against his old club for the first time since he moved from Raiders to Parramatta. And then moving into the forward pack now, Marata Niokore starts at jersey 12. Papali'i will be playing the lock position. And then Makahisi Makatoa, Madison, Ogun Kafusi, and Nathan Brown are all coming off the bench. The Parramatta Eels, they got their first win in Canberra last year for X amount of years, a really bloody long time. So a lot of these lads from Eels, they won't fear GIO Stadium, but that team for the Raiders looks good, man. Parramatta Eels, man, aren't they a bit shaky? But they do get Wanga Blake back in, which is a big in. Mike Acevo's a chance of playing as well, who I think Mike Acevo scored a double last week in his first game back in the New South Wales Cup for Parramatta Eels. So, didn't he hit the ground running if that's the case? Oh, man, this is hard to tip. I'll have to back the Parramatta Eels. I think if they really want to... This is one of them games that they have to win if they want to really prove to people that they are a top 4 contender. But Raiders, man, if they win this, I mean, they're pretty much... They're in the 8 at the moment. Well, they're not in the 8. They're equal 8th at the moment. They win this one, they're still equal 8th. Oh, man. Yeah, I'll back Parramatta Eels to win this one 1-12. But, gee whiz, man, if it's a dry day, if it's a dry surface out there at Canberra this weekend, it's going to be a friggin' cracker on Sunday afternoon. I might even get out there myself, actually. Guys, that's it for me. Thank you so much for the continuous support. Thank you very much for tuning in and watching. Please don't forget to go check out the Panthers versus Cowboys live preview with myself and Natalie Sinclair and Jack Martin of the Big Cat Chat podcast. That's going to be up in a couple of hours as well. So please go and check out that preview if you want to hear me and them dribble on about the game of the year. I'm sure you do. Anyway, guys, I'm getting out of here. Have a very nice weekend. It's Indigenous round. Past couple of Indigenous rounds have been sensational. There's been such great footy played. Expect some even better footy played this weekend. It's going to be a corker of a weekend. Adios, everyone. Thank you.